MIL is unleashing hell in Los Angeles. The Narcissist Saga goes nuclear. Hi, Reddit. I need your support because my life feels like a never-ending reality TV show, except I didn't sign up for this, and I sure as hell don't want the ratings. My MIL, the queen of narcissistic chaos, has been escalating her manipulative antics to levels I didn't think were possible. This woman is so adept at playing the victim, she could win an Academy Award. But behind her crocodile tears lies a toxic personality that has been wreaking havoc on my family for decades. It's gotten to the point where I don't even recognize my own life anymore. Every moment that should feel safe or joyful, welcoming my newborn daughter, planning my wedding, has been tainted by her need for control and attention. And now, with the wedding just days away, she's throwing everything she has at us in one final bid for dominance. If I didn't have Reddit as my outlet, I might lose my mind. TLDR, my MIL is an unstable, manipulative narcissist with a history of substance abuse. She's weaponizing my stepson, 9, and newborn daughter, 8 weeks, to maintain control over our lives, while guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and outright lying to get her way. Now she's roped in my mother and is demanding to be part of our wedding next week. I'm drowning in her drama and just trying to protect my family without losing my sanity. Act 1. The Narc Queen's Greatest Hits. MIL's manipulations go back decades, long before I entered the picture. She has a history of emotionally abusing her kids, and the scars run deep. My fiancé, who is the kindest, most patient man I know, spent years untangling the web of lies and guilt she spun around him. She's always been a master of emotional warfare, but her most infamous tactics deserve their own hall of shame. 1. Parental alienation. She moved my fiancé and his sister to Spain when they were kids, telling them their father didn't care about them. The truth? He was heartbroken but powerless against her. Manipulation. 2. Financial control. She tricked my fiancé into shared car payments and phone subscriptions during a low point in his life, keeping him financially tethered to her. 3. Weaponizing grief. When her daughter passed from cancer, she used the tragedy to make everything about herself, blocking the family from seeing her daughter in her final days and guilt-tripping my fiancé for not flying to Spain for the funeral. 4. Kidnapping Light. During his parents' separation, she took my stepson to Spain without permission, leaving his mom in a panic and convinced she'd never see him again. This isn't just a bad mother-in-law, this is a toxic force of nature. And now that she's losing her grip on my fiancé, she's turning her attention to me and my children. Act 2. Welcome to the war zone. When I became pregnant with my daughter, I naively thought MIL might soften. Maybe the idea of a new grandchild would inspire some genuine love and warmth. Instead, she saw my pregnancy as a new battleground. She made snide comments about my ability to be a mother, constantly overstepped boundaries with patronizing advice, and even referred to my unborn child as her little baby. The worst part? She refused to acknowledge that I'd suffered a miscarriage before this pregnancy. She knew about it, but instead of offering support, she used it as an opportunity to needle me with insensitive comments like, "Well, maybe your body just needed more time to get it right." I'll never forget the way my fiancé's face fell when he heard her say that. It was one of the rare moments he couldn't hide his anger toward her. When my daughter was born, MIL took things to a whole new level. Despite the fact that we were still recovering from a difficult birth and navigating life with a newborn during a pandemic, she demanded immediate access. She bombarded my fiancé with texts, claiming it was her right as a grandmother to meet the baby. When he told her no, she accused him of being under my thumb and started spreading rumors to the family that I was keeping her granddaughter from her. The entitlement was staggering. Act 3. Manipulating my stepson. As if the drama with my newborn wasn't enough, MIL has also been using my stepson as a pawn in her games. She's always tried to undermine his parents' authority, but lately, her tactics have become more overt. She gave him a phone after we explicitly said no, exposed him to inappropriate movies, and constantly badmouths his mom in front of him. 3 weeks ago, he came home from a visit with her carrying a box of baby gifts for my daughter. He looked so uncomfortable handing it to me, and when I opened it, I understood why. The gifts, a few half-finished crocheted items and an expensive doll, felt more like an attempt to buy forgiveness than a gesture of love. The card attached simply said, "All love." It wasn't signed, and it felt cold and calculated. Later, we learned she had guilt-tripped him into asking if he could have more sleepovers at her house, something he'd never needed permission for before. It broke my heart to see how confused and torn he was. Act 4, The Therapist Debacle. In a bizarre twist, Mil decided to bring her therapist into the mix. She invited my fiancé to a session under the guise of resolving their conflicts. He went, hoping it might lead to some kind of breakthrough, but it quickly became clear that Mil had no intention of addressing her behavior. Instead, she spent 2 hours demanding to know why she wasn't allowed to take my stepson to Spain for the summer. When my fiancé calmly explained that we didn't trust her judgment, she flipped the script, accusing him of being brainwashed by me. The therapist, clearly overwhelmed by Mil's histrionics, finally said, "I think there are deeper issues here that need to be addressed before we can resolve this." Mil, of course, took this as validation that she was the victim. My fiancé left the session more determined than ever to cut ties, but Mil seems to have taken it as a challenge to escalate. Act 5, The Midnight Meltdown. Last night, things came to a head. It was 10 p.m., and I was finally settling down after a long day of juggling a newborn and wedding planning. My phone started buzzing, first one missed call, then another, then a flood of texts on WhatsApp, Facebook, and SMS. Mil was on a rampage. Act 8, The Calm Before the Storm. The past few days have been eerily quiet. Mil hasn't sent any new texts, made any calls, or tried to contact my mom again. You'd think that would bring me some relief, but honestly, it feels more like the calm before a massive storm. Knowing her, she's probably stewing in her bitterness, strategizing her next move. I've been replaying every possible scenario in my mind, trying to anticipate what she might do next. Will she show up uninvited to the wedding? Will she stage some dramatic scene outside the venue, screaming about how we've ruined her life? Or will she pull some even more manipulative stunt, like convincing other family members to side with her and make us look like the bad guys? Every option feels equally likely, and I'm exhausted just thinking about it. My fiancé keeps reminding me that we've done everything we can to set boundaries. He's even gone as far as hiring security for the wedding, just in case she decides to crash it. I hate that it's come to this, that we're spending money and energy protecting our special day from his own mother, but it's a necessary precaution. As much as I want to focus on the joy of marrying the man I love, Mil's shadow looms over every moment. Act 9, The Stepson's Dilemma. My heart breaks for my stepson in all of this. He's such a sweet, thoughtful boy, but you can see the confusion in his eyes whenever Mil comes up in conversation. He's starting to pick up on the tension, and I hate that he's caught in the middle. The other day, he asked me why Granny doesn't visit anymore. I struggled to find the right words. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that his grandmother's behavior is toxic without turning him against her or making him feel guilty? We've tried to shield him from the worst of it, but kids are perceptive. He knows something isn't right, and he's starting to question whether it's his fault. Mil's manipulation has already left its mark on him. He's hesitant to express his own opinions, afraid of upsetting anyone. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how much damage she's done, not just to my fiancé and me, but to the next generation as well. We've decided to start family counseling to help him navigate his feelings and give him the tools to stand up to Mil's manipulative tactics. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a step in the right direction. I just hope it's enough to undo some of the harm she's caused. Act 10, Wedding Day Worries. As the wedding day inches closer, my anxiety is reaching new heights. Every little detail, choosing the flowers, finalizing the seating chart, picking out the music, feels tainted by the possibility that Mil might ruin it all. She's already hinted that she sees the wedding as her opportunity to reconcile with the family, which is code for make a scene and demand attention. We've made it clear to everyone on the guest list that Mil is not welcome. My fiancée even sent out a separate email to a few family members who are close to her, explaining the situation and asking for their support. Most of them have been understanding, but a few have tried to play peacemaker, suggesting we invite her just for the ceremony. It's infuriating. They don't see the years of manipulation, the emotional abuse, or the chaos she's caused. They just see a sad, lonely woman and assume we're the villains for excluding her. I've had to remind myself over and over again that this is our day. We've worked so hard to build a life together, and I refuse to let her take this moment away from us. Even if she does try to crash the wedding, I'm determined to focus on the love and joy of the day. But the thought of her pulling some grand stunts still lingers in the back of my mind, like a storm cloud I can't quite shake. Act 11, the post-wedding plan. Once the wedding is over, we're planning to take some serious steps to protect our family from MIL's toxic influence. My fiancée has already started looking into legal options to limit her access to the kids. We're considering filing for a restraining order if her behavior escalates further, though we're hoping it doesn't come to that. We're also cutting off all financial ties. My fiancé has finally untangled himself from the shared car payments and phone plans she roped him into years ago, and we've set up a separate bank account to ensure she has no access to our finances. It's a small but significant step toward reclaiming our independence from her control. As for my own mental health, I've started seeing a therapist to help me process the anxiety and anger MIL's actions have caused. It's been a game changer, giving me the tools to set boundaries and stay grounded even when she tries to provoke me. My therapist reminded me that MIL thrives on reactions, and the best way to disarm her is to refuse to engage. Easier said than done, but I'm learning. Act 12, Hope for the Future. Despite all the chaos, I'm holding on to hope. Hope that my family can heal from the damage MIL has caused. Hope that my stepson will grow up with the confidence and emotional resilience to stand up to her manipulations. Hope that my fiancée and I can build a life filled with love and laughter, free from the shadow of her toxicity. This wedding is more than just a celebration of our love, it's a declaration of our commitment to each other and to the life we're building together. MIL may try to tear us down, but she can't take away the strength we've found in each other. Every time she throws another grenade, we come out stronger, more united, and more determined to protect what we've built.